trained. The studio is a real studio. It's not like, you know, one of the makeshift joints. You just can't curse in it. That's it, because they follow FCC. So it's like 95.5 without the promo. Because you got to do everything that they do. You just don't have. You're just not on the radio. And the TV thing is free too. Like, I can use the television because I'm a producer, but the problem is getting people to use the fucking camera. I took the camera class, but I can't produce the camera and use the teleprompter. So you either have to have a camera person or somebody in video, which is what I've been having issues on. Because I don't want to be on video per se, but I do want to transition to doing like the Vlad TV joints. So that way I don't have to be on the camera, but I still can have video content. I'll take y'all over there if the studio is not open when we're done. Because they got, it's like HD something now, some fancy camera they got now. You can see your pores and everything. Like, you need a chemical peel to get on that camera because it's just too much. I ain't lying, it's too much. I just be like, I do not want to be on this shit. I'm about to go ahead and start because oh, well, why would somebody be calling us in here on air? Consider this radio. Whoever that's probably somebody that don't follow instructions on Facebook. You can't call us right now. I'm still trying to get my stuff. Somebody just called. Somebody about to just shoot myself. Just don't watch, because I've had enough. At the edge of the sea means farewell, Angelina. The sky's folding, and I must leave. Well, Jack and the Queen have forsaken the court. I don't have my intro. Nothing. And 52 gypsies now file past the guards in the space where the Judas and the Ace once ran wild. Farewell, Angelina. The sky's changing color. I'll see you in a while. Shut the eyes of the dead, not to embarrass anyone. Farewell, Angelina. The sky's embarrassed, and I must be gone. The machine guns are roaring, and puppets heave rocks. Fiends nail time bombs with the hands of the clock. Okay, go on, because my whole life is just, I don't know how I'm going to get my whole show, like how am I going to get my shit off of here? I don't even understand. This is why you just need to go digital. USBs are fucking played out. Do you hear me? Because I can't get anything right now. You're not curse. Will I get a fine? They do fine you $1,000 if you curse on radio. So no cursing.
So we're good with our
including for myself.
Good ass sports. Whoa.
Good ass sports is okay.
Cool.
All right. I'm going to bring us in and then we're going to go in.
Oh,
Alright guys, happy Sunday. I am your girl Misunderstood. You are tuned into Consider This Radio only on WEBR Radio Fairfax. Today, man, y'all don't understand. I broke my USB cord, okay, because I just sleep well and I'm not going to even say I don't have anything just yet. But right now, I just don't have anything. We just got to keep it all the way 100. I just don't know how we're going to get through this, but we still have a dope show because my outline is ready. All right, so we have a dope show. I do have music, and we're going to have to figure out, like, the rest of our lives. So please call in. The number is 703-560-8255. Again, that number is 703-560-8255. Do not call me next week because I got to find all my drops and all of my music for my show on Sunday. I'm busy. Like, I'm booked and busy. All next week, I have nothing. But until then, again, we got a dope show, so don't go anywhere. We got good-ass sports in the building, and no, it's not a curse word, FCC, you know, people listening. Don't worry about that. That's the name of their company. So we're going to be talking about that. All of you guys that do tune in, you're going to be in for a treat today because we're going to be talking about more of the reality stars connected to football players. Today, they're going to be able to break everything down, let us know stats and all of that stuff that I just don't know. Because if he's not dating a Kardashian, I really don't know who he is. Unless I've already thought he was attractive. Yeah, that's the way I view sports. The number again, 703-560-8255. We will be back right after this, so don't you guys go anywhere. Tell a friend if you're on Facebook. Share the link. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. Like, push the share button, share the link, be nice, and we'll be back. All right? Right after this. Don't go nowhere.
But it's geared towards the LGBTQ, you know? Like they're doing the heel ring, like all that. So DC Media covers that now. It wasn't like that before.
Yo, DC Media is like.
But it's for yeah. That's why she's playing with me. She's like, oh, some job opening with DC Media. I'm like, bro, it's not for us.
We can't play drops or nothing. So I need a do-over. Y'all gotta come back when I can get my shit together. This is terrible. Okay, we're back to no cursing. Let me check y'all levels. Alright guys, we are back. Happy Sunday. I am your girl, Miss Understood. You are tuned into Consider This Radio, only on WEBR Radio Fairfax. And we're about to turn some lemons into some lemonade real quick because I'm done talking about it. I'm done putting it in the universe. She told me not to put it in the universe. I'm done. Right now, we got Good at Sports in the building right now. Romel, and I didn't get your name at the boxing event.
Bryce.
Bryce.
Yes.
All right, Bryce.
Oh, I'm Rhea. I'm one of their #1 supporters.
Yes.
That's what I'm here for.
Supported. You know, she's going to come back. She has an event planning company, so we got to talk like girl talk, do a whole girl show or something.
I would love that.
Dope. But we got Bryce and Romel of Good at Sports in the building. Rhea is here, you know, just being awesome. Hanging out. I'm sure she's going to chime in on some of these topics, but let everybody know the journey of Good at Sports. What is Good at Sports? All of that good stuff.
Sure. So about 9 months ago, we got an idea. Me, Romel, and another partner of ours, Nick. We have a few partners that are involved, but we got an idea to start our own sports network. Obviously, we all know ESPN, we know Fox Sports, we know all the big names, but we felt like the representation in sports reporting, there's none of us, at least none of us in the ownership level. So that's something that we wanted to change. We're a majority black-owned company. We give you sport. We do tons of different sports. We do anything from podcasts. We got TV shows. And Romel, you want to chime in a little bit?
All right. So, hey world. So basically, our podcast name is Restore and Rebuild podcast, and the initiative behind Restore and Rebuild is R&R, the restoring and rebuilding the community. So we talk about real hardcore sports, social issues that impact families and individuals, but in sports. But you need to listen. The kitchen table, that's what's missing in these households. I think we so focused, ramped up with our endeavors, trying to accumulate money and revenue to support our household, we lose them hardcore facts and principles. There's no more principles and morals in these households no more, which sports always provide. So, Bryce, tell them a little bit more.
Yeah. Like Romel said, man, we're pushing a positive agenda when it comes to this sports stuff. You know, a lot of times in the world of tabloids and clickbait, you know, people are down to exploit different actions of athletes and stuff like that. That's one thing Good at Sports will never stand for. We're always positive about our athletes. We're always trying to spread a positive message and just give people some food for thought that outside of just, you know, touchdowns and points scored. We're actually giving you behind-the-scenes looks at sports and the people involved in the games.
Now I have a quick question because Romel brought up a good point in regards to the kitchen table talk, right? And being a single mom, I've been guilty of being able to have consistency because, you know, you're having to do everything by yourself. So how do you think that we can get back to it, and is it possible to get back to it when lives are so busy?
That's easy. And another reason I say that's easy, you got to look into our episode of Restore and Rebuild. We did an episode at Alabama University with good friends of mine, Glenn Coffey Jr. and Glenn Coffey Sr. And the title of the episode is, There's More to Life Than the Pursuit of Money. So I think that's what every individual needs to realize. There's more to life than the pursuit of money. Don't let that go over your heads, y'all.
So I agree, right? But my rent is $1,400, and the way it's set up, plus gas and electric, y'all know I be loving to tell that because it's just too much. But you can't always. So I think for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else. I kind of do my kitchen table talk like after the fact. It's not like during the time that we're eating. It's just generally like I might just pop up in the middle of the night and be wanting to spill some gems or something. But I do agree that we do miss that sit down and eat time. You know how you may have used to deal with your family or whatever. I personally didn't do it after my mom passed with my aunt because she worked the second shift. So that's another thing about not necessarily generational curse, but just continuing on habits that should be broken. Like my aunt worked during the second shift, so we didn't necessarily eat together. And now I'm generally just doing the same thing unconsciously. So is entrepreneurship like the best way in order to make sure that you can be home during that time with the children? Or like what did you say to the mom that works or something that may have to work again? Can we change what time we eat at the kitchen table?
Yeah, no, that would be nice. That would be nice. I definitely feel you with that. And it's like, you know, the momentum that carries through everyday life is almost like you have no choice but to handle what you have to handle. So you lose those precious moments with those, you know, those people you want to share them with. But one thing I would say, at least as far as what we're giving out to the people, it's a lot of audio content. So nowadays with the audio content, you can be doing anything, you can be going about your life, and you can just pop on the headphones and still listen to it. Kind of killing two birds with one stone. As far as that time, though, I think that's something that, as people in general, family, friends, whatever it may be, you've got to carve out that time for the people that you care about.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's everybody's personal struggle, everybody's personal battle, but you know, yeah, it's just something we all got to deal with, I guess.
Now, I've seen some of the episodes on your TV show, and you guys definitely do push buttons. Why do you feel like, I don't want to say it's a mission, because I think it's needed. The topics that you guys have is important. It's something you should be talking about, because ESPN is not talking about it. So what makes you go with the thought-provoking stories opposed to what's trending?
A lot of this content out here is watered down. It's saturated right now. So I really want to give my audience something that's intriguing and stimulating, something they can learn from at the end of the day. You don't want to listen to something that you can't grow. That's the same thing with this music and the genre these days, like mumble rap and stuff like that. How can I grow as an individual listening to content like that? Same with our sports show. We want to give you stuff that you can learn from. So that's our main goal and objectives.
Well, I will say Bryce did teach me the difference between a knockout and a TKO when we were at Bowie State, because,
I'm happy you remember
look, I just rolled up on him. I was like, look, I'm about to write this article and I need help. I don't know the damn difference, but he did teach me that. So what are some of your thoughts on why you choose the thought-provoking topics as opposed to trending topics?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wouldn't say we stay away from the trending topics, but one thing that we always do is we look for stories that pull us in. Because we know if the story pulls us in, if we're intrigued by it, then chances are our audience will be as well. One thing we don't do is we don't shy away from any story. So like Romel,
Gossip pays, bro.
Gossip pays. Gossip pays. But like Romel said, we did like for example our episode in Alabama. I mean, you're talking about a guy like Glenn Coffey, NFL player, left the NFL to go to the military. ESPN's not talking about that story, but there's people out here that might see that and be like,
hey, ESPN shot me down. Remember that? I reached out to them.
Yeah.
They had an event. They wanted to take on additional podcasts. The lady said, "You're a day late for submission. There's no way I can accept you. I'll give you guys her name, but I don't know whether it's true."
What we're doing is we're trying to give people stories that make them think like, okay, if I was in this position, what would I do? You know, we like to try to put people in the athlete's shoes, because a lot of times we're just sitting back judging the moves of another person without actually being in their shoes.
Yeah. And would you would you guys agree that it's important for you to let the audience know the whole story in order to give them other options, right? Because I think Remy was on BET recently, and she mentioned that we're not necessarily pushing our children, the urban community, I'm not going to say everybody, are not pushing their children to be doctors and lawyers. Instead, you want them to do sports, or you want them to be a rapper. So do you think, I believe that your stories will give them that alternative, especially with the gentleman that left football to go to the military. So instead of teaching our children, hey, I always tell these boys, go to the National Guard. It's $500. I just tried to go, but I was too damn old. But I was trying. They lied and said you had to be 34. They were like, no, the year before, you can't be turning 30. I was so upset because I would have went, it's $500. You're considered full-time military, active military. Why would you? That's better than you being on the corner, and you don't National Guard never go to war. But do you think that your stories are giving them alternative?
Definitely. Like, I mean, that you really bring up a great point with that, because a lot of times in our community, we are pushing our kids to do certain things, and my biggest issue is when if your child doesn't love that sport that you're pushing them to, they got to have that passion. We actually, a close friend of ours, Greg Outlaw, he's a professional boxer, signed to Real Deal Promotions. And one thing about Greg is he graduated from Bowie State, and then chose to pursue his career in boxing further. So that goes to show you, like, if you truly love what you're doing, you got to stick with it. But that shouldn't like stop you from growing, from your personal growth, whether it be college, whether it be grad. You gotta prioritize your life.
And also, for the young listeners, you want to maximize your resources. So if you got friends and counterparts that's involved in sports, but you're not really athletic, you might want to think about going to law school eventually. It's always something called entertainment law. You can study. You can study foreign policy. There's so many things that I went to a PWI, so that's my train of thinking. When I was taking these undergrad classes, they was instructing us, government is your best friend. You need to find a government local job, government federal job. You need to get that stability, and you can do whatever you want on the side. So that's my train of thinking with everything I do. You can dibble and dabble in whatever you want to do, but just keep pursuing your dream.
When we come back, we're going to dibble and dabble into some of these news topics. I know Romel and I spoke briefly about Colin Kaepernick, so we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on a teenager that doesn't believe that she's black. I'm not quite sure what that's about. One of our favorite celebrities may be going to jail for 6 years for joyriding. I know in the country they did this, so this wasn't really against the law down south. And, you know, white people said they don't kill white people. So we'll be back right after this. Y'all guys don't go nowhere. The number is 703-560-8255. Again, the number is 560-8255. Don't forget the 703. Y'all should already know we're in Virginia. Whether you have an Obama phone, Boost, smartphone, Metro PCS, your minutes are free. You should be calling in these guys because Romel is getting ready to go off about Colin Kaepernick, and some of y'all ain't gonna like it. So you might as well just start calling him right now. I'm just letting you know. You know, it's not what you think he's going to say. So we'll be right back right after this.
Well, you know, Method Man younger than all of you.
It's not what you expect me to say.
Alright guys, we are back. I am your girl Misunderstood. You are tuned in to Consider This Radio only on WEBR Radio Fairfax. I made my own intro for the Oh Hell Nah. So y'all got to wait till next Sunday. Because can't play it today. So that's what we're going to do right now. The Oh Hell Nah segment. There are many topics within this topic, so we'll just get right into it. One of them, they said that Brittany Renner, were y'all familiar with her prior to her book? Because I never knew who she was. So she's officially like the new school superhead. And she wrote a book about all of her sex exploits with all of the football players, celebrities, XYZ. And just so happened, Colin Kapernick was one of them. However, he didn't pay for any of her flights to come see her or anything like that. So people on social media was straight clowning her because they were like, Cap didn't even pay for you to come out. Now, on the contrary to that, Romel and I had spoke, I think it was at the boxing event in regards to Kaepernick in itself. And I know Bryce doesn't believe that he's an opportunist as we do. But Romel, let everybody know, what do you think about the whole money situation and Nike? Because Nike's stock went up once he was signed.
Well, it's currently going down too. We were just looking at that.
Looking it up.
But as you say, Nike stock went up. You know, with that being said, I feel as though Nike used him to gain more, the urban-based community. But as you know it too, that's why the stock is going down. Mm-hmm. We don't support it, Mm-hmm. If it's free, we attend. If it's free, we're going to wear it. But as far as purchasing, we're not going to pay $39 for some jogger pants and keep supporting it just because Kaepernick went along and signed with them.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
So.
Oh, man. Y'all going hard on my boy Cap, man. You guys are going real hard on my boy Cap.
So I'm going to give my weird ideology about it, right? So I personally believe something happened to him on the back end, right? Being someone that does community work, that uses all my money to do it, I know how people work in this community. We have people that do stuff for Instagram that doesn't care about the community, but because they have more followers, everything look cute. So they're the photo op activists. That's what I call them. You have your photo op activists, you have your poor activists like me, and then you have people that never post but do a lot of work in the community, and they're just not on social media. Kaepernick to me is a photo op one. I don't know what happened to him, but I believe something personally woke him up, because I know it is so hard to get people to come and support community events. It's hard to get your cousin to come down, your uncle to come. Nobody wants to come to a free event, especially if they're not getting anything out of it. Nobody wants to march. People generally just don't want to do that, and I know that firsthand. I have friends that won't even post my community events, but they're supposed to be my friends, right? So to me, I just think something happened to him to make him open up. I don't think it had anything to do about, I think Tamir Rice was the person they was trying to blame it on, the other young guy that ended up getting shot, and then that's when he decided to kneel. I think it's a little deeper than that. I don't know what it is, but I don't believe that he just woke up and because of the shooting, because if that's the case, wouldn't more of his peers be doing the same thing, right? Yeah. It wouldn't just be like you just trying to do this.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I definitely see where you're coming from. And as somebody that does, community organizing, you definitely got an interesting take on it. All I would say is that, like, how somebody wakes up, to me, is never, I don't like to discuss it, as long as they wake up. And Kaepernick had his coming moment where he woke up. And however it happened, whoever encouraged it, whatever was encouraged by, I personally appreciate it, mainly because you're looking at a man that literally risked everything, his entire livelihood.
He got fired,
Bro, he was kneeling, and he got fired for kneeling. Mm-hmm. It's different.
Did he kneel in his rookie year?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
When he was at the league.
How old was he? Was he 22?
But
Are you that conscious at 22?
Some people are. Look at Chance the Rapper.
Okay, I got you. But you guys are judging the man because of when he woke up instead of just appreciating the fact that he woke.
For his best benefit. I mean, when his career was on a decline and the team was opting to release him, not trade him, but opting to release him. That means cutting him. So
no, he was kneeling before that. He was kneeling before.
Yeah, can I chime in real quick?
He was kneeling before the team tried to cut him.
I appreciate what he did. I definitely think he definitely woke some people up, and I agree with you, Bryce. It's not about it's about when you wake up. But I do think he's turned that into a business opportunity. But you can't blame him because I mean, at the end of the day, he needs to get his money. But it's kind of like, do you have the same motive behind your cause that you did when you first when you put your whole career on the line?
And see, that's the thing that bothers me is motives. I can name a lot of community leaders that don't have proper motives, but they get all of the money. So for me personally, someone that spends her own money, I got 2 grants this year, but they weren't big grants. So for somebody that I have to go to work and do other things to make money to fund my events, I have a problem with your motive. And I definitely have a problem with your motive because you do move further than the people that have good intentions, but you may not be able to get that same light. That's the only thing about me. I personally thought Kaepernick was sorry, period, like before it, and he's making more money now that he doesn't play football than he was when he was playing football.
Mm-hmm. How much money is he making right now?
I know he got like $1 million deal with something. I don't know per se, and I don't have the article up, so don't beat me in my head. I don't want to lie on him. But he did get like the book deal. The Nike gave him money. He had stock in Nike when Nike went up. I don't know if he sold the stock. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because I do think that celebrities should use their spotlight for good. I just think it doesn't last long when the intentions are so bad because you have so many good people with good intentions that never get that opportunity, and then you have bad people with bad intentions and they get the opportunity. That's my only thing about it. And y'all are the sports guys. Wasn't he sorry anyway? He wasn't a good player, was he?
If you take a look at the league right now, we got a quarterback probably in game just ended named Blake Bortles, who's statistically just one of the worst guys in the league. Kaepernick's numbers for years had been better, if you compare their numbers side by side. So it's definitely not an issue of how talented he was. That's not the reason why he's in the NFL. And I think that's the part that we're kind of missing right here, is the reason he's not in the NFL is because he took a knee. So if we could just keep that in perspective, I think we all, like you said.
So can I ask you this?
Sure.
What about the other football players that took a knee that are still in the NFL? Because he's not the only one kneeling.
So he was the first, right? We know he was the first. Now,
was he?
Yeah, he was. He was the first.
Okay, you would know sports better than me.
He was the first. He was the first player to kneel and for it to be, on camera, which he didn't ask for. Now, I do feel what you guys are saying as far as the Nike. But if you really think, who do you think is Nike? Think about Jordan. Nike owns Jordan. We go shoot each other for Jordans, and you guys are mad at Kaepernick for using his likeness.
Oh no, I'm not mad about that.
No, I'm just saying. I know you're not. I know we're not mad. I'm just saying, like, when we think about it from that perspective, let's blame Nike if you want to point a finger. You can't blame someone maybe for capitalizing off their likeness, especially when that person just left millions and millions and millions of dollars on the table.
So we'll say this. They did the same thing with Serena Williams, right? So that was a thing because I think they made her a latex thing like Black Panther, but then she ended up wearing a tutu. So people were saying that if Nike was really for the people, then why wouldn't you have protested for her to wear what you made her?
Well, I hope no one thinks Nike's for the people. Nike is for the bottom line. That was a calculated move by Nike, but I'm just not mad at Colin Kaepernick for signing on that dotted line to get that check. Like, I'm just not mad at that, especially considering what he sacrificed. I do think that at the end of the day, we all need a job. We got your pastor, your church probably drives in a Bentley if you go to one of the mega churches. Is that a problem?
That's why I don't go to church. It's a problem for me because the church don't donate nothing.
I'm sure it is.
Most of them.
The pastors got private jets. They got PJs.
And they doing God work.
Right. Hey, I mean, one thing we can say for sure.
Bomb dope church.
I think one thing we can say for sure is, outside of disagreeing or agreeing with Kaepernick, he pushed an agenda at a time where it needed to be pushed. He got people talking about an issue that needed to be talked about, and the NFL and their owners, all white owners in the NFL, they were not going to have it. They were not going to have it.
one player is not bigger than NFL. I can say that as much.
And what happened to Puffy and them doing their own league? Remember they were talking about that?
Yeah, they were trying to get the Carolina Panthers, but I mean that's going to be a long time coming. Hopefully one day, you know, that something like that will be able to happen. But
Man, that was a
the
big
NFL is such a tight circle of those owners, and they don't want to let one of us in.
So speaking of letting in, do you guys see color?
Of course. I don't think we have a choice, do we?
Well, let me play this clip, and then we'll come back to somebody that don't see color.
Man, the Kapernick situation is kind of sticky because the Ravens tried to offer him a contract to play for them.
Right, Ravens.
Yeah, remember the Ravens trying to get him, but he wasn't trying to end being a lobbyist. So.
No, bro, that's not what happened. They told him he had a meeting with 2 teams, and they told him they wouldn't be able to kneel.
Coach, and
They said if you want to play, you
as
can't kneel.
a
He said,
very
"I'm not playing."
accomplished
What do you mean?
and successful African American woman,
You gotta respect it, bro.
what are you hearing, and what do you have to say to this young
I
woman?
respect it, bro.
Well, you know, I think
You can't
if
be wanting
you
to play
get
for
caught
other
up in the
teams.
very
You
extreme
already know
things
what they
that
want
she's
to do.
talking about, then you miss the tragedy of her story, Dr.
One
Phil.
person not bigger than
And the tragedy is, unfortunately, Mom, you didn't intend to. And I actually heard you say, well, what I told her about who she was, and then told her the truth later on, well, nobody was going to get hurt. Unfortunately, somebody
What I'm
did.
saying is he
The
did
most
this-
important
he did this
person,
to give
and that was your daughter. You lied to her about who she was, and then when you told her that she was something else, it caused a complete identity crisis. So we have issues around culture, we have issues around class, we have issues around racial identity, and we
All
have
I'm saying
issues.
is, just like Jim Brown said, where was this done during your rookie year?
Why do you need to do it there?
All right, so as everything else today, that was the wrong clip. Point blank, period. The girl don't think she black.
I think everybody saw that one too.
Yeah, it's all
I
over
think most
social
people saw
media.
that clip.
I'm confused. Like, can we just wake up? Now, Dr. Phil broke it down and was like, your race is something you can't choose, but you can choose your ethnicity. I can't talk today. Did I say right? Ethnicity. Okay. So he said you can choose that because that means that you're picking things that you feel more similar. I didn't even know we could pick that.
No, I didn't either.
So, Rhea, are you black?
Yes.
Romel, are you black?
I'm Mexican because I love tequila, I love to work, and I love beans.
Bryce, are you black?
I am proud.
Okay.
Wow.
I think I want to be something else too. Let me see. What do I want to be?
Join the family. Mexican.
I think I should be Mexican. Because if I say I'm Jamaican, I'm still black, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm Mexican.
Oh, man.
So we all have distinguished who we were today. And according to the 16-year-old girl, she determined that she wasn't black. And as black as can be when you look at her. So I don't even know how she came up with that. Now, Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey would have wanted to be white. I could get that. But this girl's clearly black. And clearly needs some pills. What did y'all think when y'all see the video? I thought this was like, I thought it was a joke at first.
Me too. I saw the memes before I saw the actual video. But I just, couldn't stop laughing. I really think, I don't know, it's just a case of a really delusional girl. She's lost. And unfortunately, it's this is just sets the stage for, you really have to be there for your children and be truthful with your children. Teach them, who they are. You can't support her saying she's white when clearly she's not. She's like, I have naturally straight hair.
Especially with her split ends.
Yeah. Terrible split ends.
She trolling. It's all publicity.
That's what I was thinking too. When
I don't know.
when I seen it, I just thought the family was in for it because everything, like Bryce said, Kaepernick is doing, trying to get a check. So can we really blame them for getting a check, Bryce?
Oh no, I don't blame anybody. If you're willing to compromise who you are, hey, go get your money. But I mean, just be ready for the backlash. Be ready for the backlash. People gonna see that you're gonna look like a fool. And not only that, this girl's what, 15?
16.
16. One day she's gonna be 25. And one day when she's 25, she's gonna realize, dang, I'm black. she will realize she's black.
Yeah.
She gonna realize that after this video interview, because somebody's going to come after her. I think that was the wrong race just to wake up and decide that she wanted to be.
Yeah.
Especially in this climate, it ain't the 60s, but it's y'all the same thing in certain areas. So Pooch Hall from the game and Ray Donovan. So After my mom died, I went to the country for about 5 years, and somebody always had their child on their lap. Now, I don't know if the people were drunk or not, but to me, this wasn't that serious. Because I don't know if he was drunk. Like, I didn't see the test. All I know is what they telling me, and I never believe the media. But what do you guys think about that? And let me tell everybody about the story. So, if you don't know, Pooch Hall of Ray Donovan, The Game, and so many other little, I said little, I hate when people do that to me, sorry, movies, actually was indicted, and he could be facing up to 6 years in prison for allowing his 2-year-old son to drive the car. Now, we know the boy clearly was only steering the car because he couldn't have been driving with his feet, right? They say he was drunk. Again, I don't know. I never knew he was an alcoholic. So, what do you guys think about it?
Oh, you want me to?
You got
When I saw it, I was like, wow. I feel like when you're in a position like that, you just have to follow all the rules. You have to be on your P's and Q's.
Now, have you ever lived in the country?
No.
Have you ever visited the country?
No.
Okay, so I respect your answer.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really have a take on it. I mean, luckily...
Do you think he should go to jail for 6 years?
No, I don't think so.
How long you think he should go? Should he go to jail?
I honestly don't think he should.
I don't either.
To be completely honest with you. I mean, I know there are laws out there, all that good stuff, but... I don't know. We don't know what the circumstances
He
were.
itching over there. Go ahead, Romel.
She know how I feel about prison reform. So I think you want Bryce to answer this question. Then we can discuss prison reform.
I mean, I definitely don't think he deserves 6 years. And most of my family is from the country. And you sound like you know about the country a little bit. Stuff like that is just...
That's natural.
It's not a big deal. I'm going to be honest, huh?
Because she black?
No, I said I lived down there.
Nah, like, I mean, I can remember being, like, 7 years old, maybe 7 or 8, in North Carolina, and my uncle just letting me drive his pickup truck, and I could barely reach the pedals.
You drive to the store, they give you some moonshine. Yeah. You might be smoking weed. I mean, it's the country. And I know they don't live in the country because they were in L.A., I believe. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, for our culture, this is not shocking. Again, clearly the 2-year-old was not physically driving the car.
Right.
He was still the pedal on the brake, which is probably why they got in a car accident. But he was still doing the pedal on the brake. The little boy, I don't know what happened. He hasn't talked about it yet, and I'm upset. Do y'all think that he should speak out?
Man, I do social work, so I'm not for substantiating a child from removing them from a family. That's not me. So prison reform, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't ever think anybody's obligated to speak out. And I think that's something that we put on celebrities and people with notoriety. You say, look, if something happens to you, you got to stand up and answer for it to the public. But at the end of the day, it's your life. If something happens, you're not obligated to say anything to anybody. You're obligated to account for your family, and that's it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I agree with that. Some people get tied to these celebrities like they owe us an explanation. Like, as if we're in a relationship with them, and you don't owe us anything. Owe us your work, and that's it.
Due to social media and media, period, I think that you are in a relationship with them because, unfortunately, this article is everywhere. It's on Euroweb, Bossip, Media Takeout, Fox 5. Like, it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. So we didn't want to know about it, but they're reporting about it. So I do want to know the outcome and, like, what happened. And I don't think he necessarily needs to do, like, a press conference. Mm-mm. Maybe just on his social media, but, like, I really want to know, were you even drunk? Because, I just know, I always play the devil's advocate. Like, I don't believe everything that I read, period. Point blank, period. I always think it's another side to it. So, he always seemed really responsible. I just don't even take this whole thing. And why the person that he hit didn't come out? Because this would have been their time to get their 15 minutes.
Yep.
That person never came out yet.
Yeah, they haven't.
See, but from, like, a protective service, like, perspective, like, did he have any prior history of doing this? Do he have any type of medical conditions?
So far, they said no.
Things. Yeah.
So far, but again, we don't know.
And it's really hard to call though. But my perspective, nobody want to see their child, with another family.
No. Well, they did let the mother come pick the baby up from jail. Like, they didn't even call CPS, which was a good thing. So the mom was able to come get the child. I don't know. It's just hard to, like, really have a real take on it because, again, we don't know the ins and the outs of it. It's just surface right now. And, of course, everybody's making him look bad. So I don't want to go down that road because I think we all have done things where if you didn't get to explain, it may look like a bad situation. Just like the girl dropping the 2-year-old boy off. Did y'all see that video?
Oh, yeah.
So according to her, which is Southeast, I can see this happening. According to her, the mother was in the hospital, which she was. The mother and the child's wife don't get along. So they, according to them, I think it's either they had a restraining order or they have one. Like, they're in the courts. So the girl told the woman, drop the baby off. Don't say nothing to this broad. Just drop the baby off and go. But I don't think she meant without the woman opening the door.
Right.
Yeah, that obviously was bad.
What would you have done if somebody would have did that to your baby? Would she still be your friend today?
Pow, pow.
Yeah, that's it. Because what if the baby ran off? I mean, the baby was standing there like,
Yeah,
what's going on?
he looked at her while she was running away.
So what if he ran into the street? Like, what if something would have happened to him?
We definitely.
So we done.
I
We
probably
done
would have
that.
definitely caught a case after I got out the ER.
Absolutely.
Especially because my child was with CPS. Now CPS did come and get that baby.
Oh wow.
Now what? But the problem was the father lived next door to the house.
Oh, yeah, it was the wrong house. Sorry about that.
What in the world? The girl talking about she was cold.
Yeah.
So on the interview, the lady said, well, why would you leave a 2-year-old? You didn't think the baby was going to be cold? If you're cold, wouldn't you think the baby's going to be cold?
It's the backstory that's missing that we don't know about.
Girl,
For
the
sure.
backstory is she need to be punched in her face.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, according to the community down in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, 2 black people were killed inside the Kroger. According to witnesses, they said that white people don't kill white people.
It's more black on black violence than anything.
But what about the man that just went inside of that temple and killed like 30 people at one time?
It's crazy, man.
And none of them were black people, Romeo.
I think
That's what our media reports, right?
I think, the time we live in right now, there's a lot of inciting of violence. People, I mean, I'm not even going to say this guy's name. We all know who the commander-in-chief is at the moment, but it just is really getting to people, and, people are starting to act out on these notions that he's giving them. He's not telling people to go out there and commit these violent acts, but he's giving them that spirit. He's putting that spirit, that violent spirit into people.
So you think he's that bad, bro?
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody is an individual at the end of the day, but I think it was clear. I think it's clear that he's definitely been trying to get those reactions out of people. And
But don't you think that I always feel like people are distractions? I felt like Obama was a distraction, and I feel like Trump is a distraction. Now, the distraction for what? I don't have that answer.
Did Obama go to Ferguson?
I don't think he did he?
Hold on. One more question. Is Chicago federally regulated?
Yes.
They are?
Yeah.
Under what administration? What administration ensured that Chicago was federally regulated when it's dealing with all them shootings and mass killings and stuff like that?
What are you talking about? What he did with?
Yeah.
I mean, cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. We saw Kanye and Jim Brown in the Oval Office making us look, setting us back. But how many years?
That's what the media showed us. What was the true conversation when the cameras was off?
All right, so since y'all want to go there, let's go there then, Romel. Do you think Kanye has a bigger purpose than, because 2 people came out, Nick Cannon, these may not be credible, and Ray J said the same thing, right? We only see the back end of what Kanye's doing, not necessarily the reason why the seat at the table. So you always got something to say. So how do you feel about this Kanye and Trump bromance that they got going on?
Man, it's kind of funny because I was reading the article and T.I. said Kanye actually invited him. But last time I checked, I didn't know ex-cons can get admitted into the White House.
Whoa.
They're not supposed to.
But T.I. got a record, right?
Yeah, he definitely has a record.
But hey, Trump called Kanye and he called Jim Brown, so I think he definitely was trying to tackle, the African American base. As far as Jim Brown, he did a lot. He was an advocate for the black community. He still is. So you can't fault him for what he's trying to do.
But do you think that Kanye is stupid, or do you think he has a plan?
I think he has a lot of things misconstrued, but I feel as though he has, with Jim Brown, he has a good affiliate guide him in the right direction of what the community actually needs.
I don't think he can be molded though. Like Kanye is Kanye.
Yeah.
I think Kanye has a plan, but it's all about your intention and your delivery. So how he's like delivering it to the public, all we see, like people that don't know his plan, all we see is like Kanye at the table with Trump. So it's like two enemies now instead of us really looking into what he has.
Would you not go if Trump invited you? Would you go?
If I needed a platform to get like my plans out there or to advocate for,
She did. She wanted to go to the Trump Hotel in Chicago.
I did.
Would you go?
Nice.
Yeah.
He
Would
was
you
definitely
go?
there.
If I was to go and speak to Trump,
No, the question is,
no.
will you go? Not what you
probably
talk
not.
about.
Probably not.
I would go.
I would say something.
Yeah, it's a
I would say
platform.
something too crazy.
Right.
You get put out, right?
So
Oh,
go
I
and
would
do
get put
that.
out.
So go and do that.
Secret Service would be on my tail.
Yeah.
My thing is,
Bring that
I
discussion.
don't have an issue with anybody going to talk to him. Unfortunately, they never give us the video of what they're discussing.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right?
Yep.
Because to me, I don't have any issues with Trump. Trump is like every other 80-year-old that lived through segregation. Because your nana or your grandma have said some racist stuff at the table. You want to talk about kitchen table that may not should leave the house, and it doesn't because she's not the president. But to me, he's the same person. So I don't, I've been around elders that may have said something like, what? It is not 1962. What are you talking about? So I don't pay him no attention. I don't have no feelings towards him, good or bad. I just think that that's who he is. And me personally, in my own journey, I'm just taking people for who they are at face value. I don't think he should have became the president because he's not qualified. If that's the case, I should run tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have to have the education, if you don't have to have the experience, then anybody should apply and go and be president. But I just think that, like Bryce said, he's just igniting a lot of things that people already felt. People were already feeling this way, and now they feel like they have the obligation to show you how they really feel. Because the interesting thing is, everybody's mad at Trump, but what about all of these corporations that voted for him?
Absolutely.
I'm sure your boss voted for Trump, so you gonna quit your job because you mad at Trump?
Right.
You ain't gonna do that.
Like we were talking about earlier, though, I think...
But what makes Trump racist? Everyone's saying he's racist, but what makes him? What did he do that's racist?
I don't think...
Unemployment is at an all-time...
I think it's his comments about certain things that people take that
Unemployment
as
is at an
racist.
all-time...
Right. I
No, say it.
No, you
Unemployment is at an all-time...
high. You want me to finish?
No, he's gonna say low because you
Low?
see him keep switching his head.
No, but I do want to say this. I feel like, our generation, we're all like social media advocates. So we scroll on Instagram and we see a post and that automatically registers as our opinion. I'm speaking for in a general sense. So a lot of people, they dislike Trump because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what social media says.
Yeah,
Or,
but I think we need to get our own mind. And
We
again,
do.
I'm not Romel. I'm not taking up for him because Romel is taking up for him. I'm not taking up for him
I'm not taking up
because.
for him.
But I just think that, is he a racist? I don't know the man. Do he say foul stuff? Yes.
Yeah.
Should his Twitter be taken away? Yes. Does he need to be what we do when we get rid of him? I forgot what it's called. Do we need to get impeached? Yes. I agree with all of that. But that's why I don't get on social media. One, my mouth is terrible. I think my show last week or the week before last, people probably didn't know what was going on because that's not generally how I talk on social media. But I think sometimes if people were able to be with you 24/7, you gonna look racist to somebody too.
Yeah.
We all would. So
Yeah.
I just think it's the platform that he's had. And again, I am not taking up for him because I think he does not need to be there at all. But I just think it's a distraction for everything else that's going on. Just like Mario Bowser is always talking about affordable housing. That's weird because it's not. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because like I'm in the middle of purchasing a home. And then even with that, with the programs that they have, right? If you're only a family of two, you can't make over $54,000 to qualify.
It's impossible.
Well, who gonna?
Impossible to have a
I
home.
mean, there are some people that has two people because it's just me and my daughter in their home that don't make 54. But if you have a decent job, you're gonna be making 55 to 60. If you got a decent job, right? So that disqualifies me from everything because I only have one child. So how is this? It's not affordable because you can't afford it. So I just think he's just a huge distraction for exactly what's going on. And I know DC is not federally regulated because we're not a state. But it's just a distraction for everything else that we need to be paying attention to.
I agree.
But you had something to say, Bryce.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I find it slightly ironic that my man to the right of me is so strong in the defense of Trump and Kanye when it came to Kaepernick. And these guys, if you think Kaepernick's using his likeness right to profit, and you don't see that Trump and Kanye are doing the same thing, then you just got to look at it through you're not looking at it through the same lens.
The NFL is in a position and was still currently in a position to feed my brothers and sisters. They made so many African Americans and Latino based people millionaires. So why am I going to support someone that's trying to do the opposite and reverse that? So many of our brothers and sisters make millions from the NFL.
And the NFL also hid CTE from its players for years. Didn't tell them that their brains would be degenerated. So you can look at it two ways, man.
We're going to be back because it's getting ready to be a good sports takeover. We have some good sports comments that only they can answer. So we'll be back right after this. It's going to be the good sports takeover only on Consider This Radio. These guys right here are going to be at the Anthem on Thursday. Actually, I'm about to text her right now while we got a break. Wu-Tang will be here for their 20th anniversary at the Anthem, so you guys got to make sure if you don't have your tickets already that you come through. Right now, this is Cream. I think everybody's favorite, only on Consider This. That's what the woke people are doing.
You see what liberals do?
The woke people.